Hello there, how are you today? Welcome to the Wednesday program. My name is John, and can you guess where I am? That's right, I'm in the library. Now, what do we do in the library? Yes, we read books. And today we are going to read a very special book. It was written by Beatrix Potter from England. This story is about a special animal. Can you guess what animal? Good. It's a rabbit. Today's story is called The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Are you ready? Let's start. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I am going out." Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella, and she went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were very good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight down away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But around the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other one amongst the potatoes. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have gotten away if he did not run into the gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears. But his sobs were overheard by some very nice birds who flew to him excited and tried to help him. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve and he tried to catch Peter, but Peter was too quick and he ran away, leaving his jacket behind. He rushed into the tool shed and whoop, jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in, but it had a lot of water inside. Mr. McGregor thought he saw Peter run somewhere in the tool shed. He started to look everywhere, looking carefully under, over, inside. Suddenly, Peter sneezed. Achoo! Mr. McGregor ran after him quickly and tried to put his foot on Peter. But Peter was too fast and he jumped out the window. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor and he was very tired after running after Peter. He went back to his work. Peter sat down to rest. He was also tired and very scared, and he forgot where to go. He was also very wet after hiding. After a time, he began to wander around and look everywhere. He found a door in the wall, but it was locked. There was no room under for a big rabbit to squeeze through. He saw a mouse going in and out. He tried to ask her where to go, but she had a lot of food, peas and beans in her mouth. She just shook her head. And Peter began to cry again. So he walked straight across the garden. But he was very surprised and confused. Where am I? Finally, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled the water can. But there was a cat staring at the fish in the pond. It was very still and very quiet. But sometimes its tail would move quickly. Peter thought it's better not to talk to her. His cousin Benjamin Bunny told him scary stories about cats. So he went back to the tool shed, and suddenly he could hear the noise of a hoe. Peter hid under the bushes, but nothing happened. So he came out and looked over a wheelbarrow. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing the onions. And beyond Mr. McGregor was the gate home. Peter got down very quietly from the wheelbarrow, started running very quickly. Mr. McGregor saw him at the corner, but he was too tired, and Peter did not care anymore. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe again in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor found Peter's jacket and shoes and made a scarecrow. Peter didn't stop running or look behind him until he got home. He was so tired that he flopped down on the nice soft sand in the home of his family. And then he shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered, where is Peter's clothes? It was the second jacket and pair of shoes Peter had lost. Now, I'm sorry to say, Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed, made some nice tea, and gave it to Peter. 1 tablespoonful before bed. Yeah. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good rabbits, had bread, milk, and blackberries for supper. Wasn't that a fun story? I hope you all remember to be good and not like Peter. Thanks for coming, and we hope to see you again on the Wednesday program. Goodbye!